From the studios of NBC, your number one African TV station, welcome to the program Africa Today. This program comes to you every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. and then a repeat broadcast on Mondays at 10:30 a.m. This program seeks to discuss issues affecting the African continent. Coming up tonight on the program, civil society groups outrage over planned government salary increases and cervical cancer vaccine for schoolgirls. We also spend more of our time tonight with Nigeria. The much more interesting stories coming out in Nigeria. 3 states in Nigeria right now are under the state of emergency, and also one sect of Boko Haram. We'll be touching on that with issues affecting the amnesty deal. We've been joined once again by Professor Dr. Godwin Agboka and Funsho Olamigoke. You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, we will start with Kenya, where the civil society groups are very, put it mildly, upset over planned government increases. And it's amazing when you look at the pictures pouring out now, where they went as far as the parliament gates. They had about 10 pigs altogether, and they had a huge gallon of blood. What kind of blood it is and where they got the blood out, I have no idea. And to show how intense and how passionate they are about their disagreement with MPs coming out demanding for more money, they pour the blood all over the pigs to show them that we do mean business. Government, Godwin, let's start with you. What are your comments on this one?
A number of them. Let me actually begin with the blood issue, with the pig issue and all that. I think it was symbolic. What they wanted to do was to paint a picture of greedy politicians,
right,
or the MPs, let me say that. Just to say that you guys are milking the economy, you're kind of living large while we suffer and all that. So that was the message. But I think that the issue in Kenya is a very interesting one. The reason I'm saying that is that there's been a history of that. It's
right.
not as if this
it's not new.
Actually, in 2003, there was a similar issue where the MPs actually did the same thing. At that point, they were earning $4,800 a month, and then they wanted to increase that by, I think, $1,200, just in addition to that, to make it $6,000. And at that point, people were actually not happy, because usually when people are suffering in the country, and then a section of the people decide that, hey, we have to increase our salaries, it creates a problem, because in terms of the salary range, it isn't equal. So obviously people think that, hey, others are out there living large while we suffer. Now, one of the things that for me I find intriguing is that there is a structural problem in Kenya, which is Kenya is one of the few countries where you have members of parliament actually deciding on their own salaries. They can decide to set up a committee to actually come up with how much of an increase that they deserve. In other countries, what you have is that you have an independent body or commission, or the president can even set up a committee to look into those emoluments, or what I call the salaries for the MPs. But in Kenya, it's a different thing.
Right.
So when you have a player who is the same as the referee, of course it creates a problem, because of course they can actually do that. And remember, if you look at the current issue, it's actually double what they are earning right now. And obviously that is a problem, given the economic hardships that they are going through and all those other issues that they are going through. So if you look at the argument that civil society is making, they are making an argument of ethics. That if you look at this nation, there are economic hardships, people are going through difficulties. So for you to actually arrogate to yourself the power to increase your salaries at will, obviously doesn't fly in the face of, or flies in the face of,
the average person.
And
also,
that obviously is why these things are happening in Kenya. So hopefully they will be able to back down on this decision at this point, and then address the structural problem. Because if the salaries for MPs go up, and the salaries for public servant also go up, there isn't going to be any complaint. But then if
one section
obviously creates a problem,
right,
that's basically it. Yeah.
Okay, Funsho, now they pour the blood over the pigs at the Parliament gate, and like I said, that's a gesture of contempt towards members of Parliament, which they've termed MPigs.
Yes.
So MPs is now MPigs, and according to the Commission chairperson Sarah, she is saying that they should concentrate on building the economy instead of them asking for so much money. And right now they have 222 parliamentarians, members. And so far they're saying that the amount will total 9.3 million shillings. That is in PEX alone. That's a lot. What are your thoughts on this?
It is a lot. Governor already said it all. Let me just add that even though they are coming out to say this is what they want, they are not going to get it unless the president signs it into law.
Right.
Because twice already, the president had already turned them down. What we don't know is whether or not the President Uhuru Kenyatta will cooperate with them. But his predecessor, that is President Kibaki, had signed to law earlier this year, I think January, new emoluments for presidents that are leaving office, what they're going to get in terms of pensions and all of that. And the funny part of it is that just this year, by giving a little more to presidents, the presidents still don't earn as much as these members of parliament. They don't ask as much as they earn, yet they want to go higher and higher. So the president signed the president's new rates, but turned down the rates for the members of parliament, which was good. But then the president didn't just do that. Just like you rightly said, the civil service, civil society groups, had formed a kind of coalition with the people of the country, ordinary people on the street. They gathered together and insisted that the president couldn't do that, because in the first place, when you look at the average, not basic pay now, not minimum wage now, the average Kenyan earns about 2,200 a month.
They're about
dollars. And here they're earning close to $10,000. It's not only that. What really angered them, it's not just how much they're already earning. They want to add more to it. In addition to that, recently there's a report that says each of them renovated their homes with hundreds of thousands of euro.
Wow.
Spending an average of 3,000 euro on single chairs in each of those homes. And when you look at the number of chairs they have in their home, 3,000 euro
on one chair.
Yeah, if you have a setting, for instance, and they live in mansions, so they probably will have like 3 sitting rooms.
That's a lot of money.
So when you look at the number of chairs there, each one of them costing 3,000.
And by 3,000 euros, that's a lot.
But the funny part of it is there's nowhere, even if those chairs are built in gold, they're not going to cost 3,000 euro. So they probably buy an average of, say, 1,000 euro per set, and they pocket the rest of the money. And that is very, very, very.
And they are still asking. They're still asking for more.
They're still asking for more.
Let me quickly add that, and I think Funcho actually touched on that, which is what they're asking for is actually in salary.
Yeah.
But then there are other perks
that comes with the positions.
Usually they give them some money to buy a luxury car.
Yeah.
They give them some money towards accommodation, and then
entertainment.
In the 2003 story that I mentioned, what happened was that they gave them $100,000 in retirement package.
Yeah.
That is a huge sum of money.
It is huge.
Now, in Ghana, this issue actually cropped up recently. The MPs actually were asking for around $8,000 a month. And of course, the president actually indicated that it was too much. But of course, at that point, he was pushed to a certain corner. So he could only come out to say that it's wrong. But the point is that the MPs were going to get the money anyway. But when this issue was stretched further, the MPs actually made the argument that they have a lot of responsibilities. They pay for people's school fees, because as a member of parliament, people come to them for money to
Is that
to
the
feed
pro?
it.
Is that's not the
Great.
problem
That's
of
even
the
wrong.
state?
That's
When that
Yeah.
argument came up, my argument was that as a member of parliament, your role is not to give people
No,
money
not
to pay
from
their
your
fees.
pocket.
And the average person shouldn't be paying for
That's
that.
the point.
Yeah.
So that was the argument they made. Now, because of that, there were lots of strike actions. Teachers went on strike, doctors went on strike because they were furious that they were working. I mean, and they were not being getting close to a quarter of what these MPs were making. The MPs actually went overboard to say that we actually are more important than you guys are and all those other unnecessary things.
Oh.
But the issue that I think I want to get to is this. I think members of parliament play a huge role in any society.
Yeah.
So if they come up with any emolument or whatever thing for them, it might be justified. But then you have to do that against the general situation in the country. If people are suffering and then they are not earning close to the work that they put in, and then MPs want to do a similar thing or something different, it creates a huge problem.
And
in
also
society.
looking at the growth of the economy.
Yeah.
Like the chairperson said, she's not even going to consider looking at the demands. They should rather concentrate on building the economy that they promised they were going to do. My next question is, do you think they're going to back, what's his name? Uhuru Kenyatta in a corner for him to go ahead and approve this?
I'll be surprised.
Because he's just been in power for what, like 2 minutes?
Yeah.
And all this coming up is not new, but here it is again. He's been in power only less than a month, and they're asking for all
And he's
this
still
over
having
and over
problems.
again. Yeah.
I don't think that is going to happen if he has any. I believe he is intelligent enough to know that it's not going to succeed because, like you rightly said, MPs have their definition of work or job descriptions and all that. It's not a part of their responsibilities to pay school fees for citizens in their constituents.
But if they
And the
want
reason
to
they
do
do
it,
it-
they can go ahead and do it, but that
Yeah, but-
shouldn't be the responsibility of the state.
If they don't
Exactly.
Say
do it,
that
they
I
know
have
they are going to lose
to, I have
office.
to give.
That's what I
right,
was going to
okay.
say. The reason they do it, use their money to do it, is because they are buying the votes of those
I know.
folks. But then that is even against the law. As a matter of fact, for coming out to say that, they should be prosecuted. But one thing that I like in all of this, especially for the presidents and for them, you mentioned they paid. They're going to be paid 110,000 euro when they leave office. The same thing with the president. President will get about 216,000 euro.
And that's a one-time payment.
That is goodbye payment. But they are now going to be getting pensions, and their pension is like 80% of what they earn when they're leaving office.
It's
To be
still
honest, let me explain
good.
to you. It has a very valid reason for me, because you see, we have always said their president. We mentioned
Nyerere,
not
yeah.
too long ago. He left office. He had nothing. Assuming, for instance, this kind of payment were available for Nyerere, for God's sake, that guy won't have to suffer. You left as president of a country,
And
big
had
country
nothing.
like Tanzania, and you go to the village without having a roof over your head.
Not just the
This will
suffering
help
part,
them.
the issue of corruption. If they know that
Yes,
when
exactly,
they
that
leave
something is-
office,
I'll have
something is waiting
something
for
to
them,
go.
they're
You got
not
the
going to
point.
put their hands in the
Right.
national
Got the
coffers.
So they have to put in place structures
Structure.
that they
And
know
that's
that
what they're
people
doing.
live in government.
Yeah.
When we come back, I'll be asking you this question: is Africa poor? Listening to all this, I know you're all smiling,
Yeah.
but let's take a short break. Viewers, we're taking a short break, and we want you to think about this. With all this we're talking about, do you believe Africa is poor? We'll be right back.